The Tale of Princess Lee. Once upon a time, there was a castle. Not a grand castle as some others came to be, but a nice castle nonetheless. There was love and pleasant times in this castle. It was called the Castle on the Lake. King Charles and his queen Leah lived there and raised their 4 children: Prince Olin, the eldest, Princess Marie, Princess Lee, and Prince Charles II. There are many stories to be told about the adventures of this family. The story to be told today is about Princess Lee. As the family grew up and the children went out on their own adventures, Prince Olin became known as the wisest. His many years of learning had driven him well. He even has built his own castle, the Castle of the Elm, a beautiful place nestled in amongst woods and the streams, surrounded by beautiful creatures. Princess Marie and Prince Charles II liked this new castle so much, they decided to leave the castle on the lake and to start out on their own new adventures from the castle on the elm. Princess Lee had many suitors because of her beauty and was torn between right and wrong because of them. Each suitor was an adventure of its own, each leading Princess Marie to different life choices that were difficult paths to choose between. Prince Charles II wanted to become a dragon slayer, so he trained and he trained in the courtyard games, but there were no more dragons to be found. He soon received a new title, Sir Charles II, Knight of the Games. Meanwhile, back at the castle out on the lake, Princess Lee was also wanting to explore new worlds and experience new things. But her father and mother, the king and queen, warned her of the many dangers beyond the walls of the castle on the lake. Princess Lee begged and begged the king to let her go and explore. She told her father, "All my friends get to go and explore beyond the wall. Why can't I?" The king knew she was overly ambitious and also very beautiful. He was very worried that she would be taken away, never to return. So one night, a troubadour and his band of minstrels came playing near the kingdom. Princess Lee heard the serenade of this troubadour and fell under an evil spell and followed him away to a distant land. The king and queen were so distraught they started blaming each other for what had happened. They stopped talking to each other, so Castle on the Lake no longer was filled with love and happiness. Princess Lee awoke from her spell, realizing where she was, and made her way back from the distant land. But she had changed. She was outside the wall and wanted to continue to explore, so she did. Now she wanted to go into the lower Grand Kingdom. That was the place her father had warned her about. There was evil all about, false princess that would tell lies about magic mushrooms and beautiful unicorns. For Princess Lee loved unicorns and would try almost anything during her adventure. So she went off once again with a false prince. The false prince fed her some magic mushrooms, but they weren't magic at all. They were poisoned. Princess Lee once again fell under an evil spell. Meanwhile, the king sent out his sheriffs to find his lost princess. They searched in the dark forest where the mushrooms grew. They searched in the lower Grand Kingdom where the troubadours played. But Princess Lee was nowhere to be found. The king was so distraught, he fell ill, for his heart was broken. The queen summoned the kingdom's surgeon to heal the king. It was more than just a broken heart, it was split. All the love was leaking out. The surgeon sewed and patched the king's heart, but too much love had leaked out. The queen started talking to the king again. She said, "No one is to blame for their princesses and princes' life's choices. We raised them as best we could. Their paths are now up to them." Princess Lee heard of her father's illness and started the long journey home. She had to travel through the dark forest and then through the lower Grand Kingdom. While traveling through the lower Grand Kingdom, she was stopped by the sheriffs, who the king had sent looking for her. For she had changed so much, they could not recognize her as the princess. Plus, she had a bag of the poisoned mushrooms with her. This was a crime. So they took her away and locked her up in a tower in the middle of the lower Grand Kingdom. The king was weak, but heard the news that his youngest princess had been found. The queen said, "You can't go there. It is too far." He insisted on going to see her, so the queen agreed to go with him. So off they went, into the dreary dungeon, and amongst all the criminals up in the tower, there she was, Princess Lee. The queen started crying because she could hardly recognize the princess also. The king spoke to the princess, for he only had a few minutes before the guards would take her away. He told his daughter he loved her and will always be there for her. So he slipped a small pigeon in between the bars to her. He said, "Take this pigeon, and each night write a message and tie it to its leg, for it will find its way to me. I will do the same, and in this way I will listen to you each night, so you will not be alone." This they did every night while the princess served the sentence for having poisoned mushrooms. After some time had passed, the princess was set free. She returned to the castle on the lake. Her father, King Charles, was so happy that his heart was also healed. For love and enjoyment was returning home. And so it had for a time. The king and queen were happy to have their young princess back. The princess also seemed and looked happy on the outside, but she had changed. Those who eat of the poison mushrooms never are the same. The king put Princess Lee down in his dress shop, selling dresses, just to keep her busy. She was very good at it when she wanted to be. But the lure of the mushrooms kept persisting. Princess Lee once again ran away from the castle on the lake. She resisted the temptation of the mushrooms for a long time, but gave in once or twice. That is all it takes to go under the evil spell again. This time the princess knew it was happening and decided she needed to go seek the help of the wise wizards of the south. The princess decided to tell her father that she had a problem with the mushrooms and needed to seek the help of the wizards of the south. The wizards of the south are far away and would cost much gold for their services. The king had spent much of his gold paying the sheriffs and the surgeons, but he said he will help the princess if she believes this will help her. The princess thanked the king and told him she loved him. The king's heart started to heal some more, knowing that his youngest princess would be healed just as he would be in time, for the king's heart grows stronger every day. So Princess Lee booked passage on the royal coach to the southern kingdoms. The next morning, she sought out the wise wizards to help cure her of the poison from the mushrooms. The king and queen prayed that she would find the help she needed and find happiness. For this is all a father and mother ever wish for their children.